Okay, so today I want to share a few of my favorite quotes with you. So I'm just gonna kind of go through and read them off because there's some really good ones out there. First one is on habits from James Clear. If you guys haven't read his book, Atomic Habits, it's a great read. This one states, habits will form whether you want them or not. Whatever you repeat, you reinforce. So that's a good one, just to think whatever your habits, good habits, bad habits, right? They show up. So whatever you're repeating, you're reinforcing. So that repetition is what makes a habit set in. So be a little bit more conscious of that, and also check out that book, it's really good. This one's classic Jim, right here, Jim Rohn. Your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development. That's because success is something you attract by the person you become. So how many people out there are just like, man, I wish this would happen, or I really want this, and striving for that. But remember, everything that we desire to achieve, we end up attracting. And so that one's just always a good reminder. It's a classic Jim telling us his wise words, right? This one's on mindset. This one's really good. Your thoughts determine what you do, and what you do determines who you are. So that's another really good one. What you focus on expands. What you believe and what you think all the time is what shows up more in your life. So if you're ever in that midst of struggling with some mindset, remember your thoughts, keep them positive, because that's actually what you'll end up seeing in your life. Let's see, some other really good ones. Another one on habits. Successful people aren't born that way. They become successful by establishing the habit of doing things that unsuccessful people don't like to do. So when we talk about things like structure and discipline, those aren't sexy words. People don't declare like, yeah, I'm really disciplined. No, they declare I'm charismatic and I'm fun and I love my family, right? Those are the things they want to declare. They rarely want to admit that they're disciplined in certain areas. It's ultimately doing the things that most people, the average person, won't even consider doing or attempt to do. So remind yourself that if your friends are telling you that you shouldn't do it or it's a terrible idea, maybe that actually means it's a good one. Let's keep going. Ooh, your imagination is the preview to life's coming attractions. That one was by Albert Einstein, also genius. So there's probably a lot of truth in that one. Similar to mindset, what you think about, you get. So if you dream it, you can achieve it. Problem solver. How many of you out there believe you're a great problem solver? I think I am most days. Most moms, right? We're like, heck yeah. Bring any challenge our way, we'll crush it. Most people spend more time and energy going around problems than trying to solve them. Oh gosh, isn't that the truth? How many times have you come across coworkers or family members? Oh gosh, think about all your Thanksgivings where you had some family blow-ups. It's because people like to tiptoe around problems, right? The thing with problems is just address them head on, dive into them, lean into the challenge. It'll be better for your family Thanksgivings, I guarantee that. Being learning based. Gosh, another Jim. This is classic Jim again. Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. So I spoke a couple days ago about your experiences in life and how your experiences and that life experience leads to opportunity, and it builds character, and it exposes you to yourself. And so I think that that's true. Self-education, what you grow through, is actually what leads to a lot of your success. So formal education's awesome. Have 2 bachelor degrees, and I can tell you I've learned more from real life experiences than I have from anything else. Adaptability. So we have to be stubborn about the vision, but flexible about the journey. Another good one. So how many of you are so set in your way that you're like, no, this is where I want to go, and this is how I've designed it to be, and I've thought it all through, and when you actually go to execute, you've got challenge after challenge after challenge, right? You can still be completely focused on that end result, but be flexible about the journey. Things will pop up, challenges will come in. That's okay. Just go with the flow on that. Bend with the curves, and as long as you still keep that end goal in focus, you'll eventually get there. But be flexible with that journey. It can be a little bit more fun that way too. a little bit more spontaneous. Ooh, this is a Bruce Lee one. It says, the most dangerous person in the room is one who listens, thinks, and observes. So these are all coming from my book, by the way, Figure It Out. And I have a chapter on being observant. So if you're a person who likes to people watch, and airports, malls, if you're stopped at a red light, those are some interesting times to be watching people. So observation and being observant, I think, is a great skill set to have. As long as you stay out of judgment. We want to definitely stay focused in a positive way when we're observing about what we're learning versus being in judgment of others. Creativity, another Albert Einstein one. Creativity is intelligence having fun. So when we talk about time blocking productive activities, do you also time block creative time? Do you time block fun and entertaining time in your life as well? I think that if we were to do that, if we were to spend more time in the creative space, we might actually find that that brings some clarity and fun and enthusiasm to some of the boring tasks that we have to do. Success is all about making peace with boredom, right? Habits, they're not fun. Routines, they're not, that word discipline, it goes back to that again. That's not sexy. And yet, if we can kind of give ourselves some grace to bring in some creativity, we might see that show up professionally very, very different. So I think that's a good challenge, is keep your creative side, keep your fun side, keep your habits and things that bring you joy and bring energy into your world, because if you balance that along with the highly functioned discipline part, you'll find that you enjoy what you do a lot more. Speaking of being productive, productivity isn't about being a workhorse. Keeping busy, that's not what it's about. It's more about priorities, planning, and fiercely protecting your time. I mentioned this in the time blocking when I spoke about time blocking. It's not just about putting it on your calendar, it's also protecting the time block. It's holding yourself accountable to what you said you were gonna do. Putting it on your calendar is the easy part. What you wanna remember is to hold yourself accountable to what you've time blocked in there, your priorities. So this also comes from The One Thing. It's a great book on time blocking and productivity. So I would highly recommend that read if you wanna know more about that. And questions. So this comes from Lou Holtz. I'm a Notre Dame fan, kind of grew up one as a household, so I'll bring in some Lou Holtz for you. And it's about asking powerful questions. So he says, I never learn anything from talking. I only learn when I ask questions. That is the God honest truth. You will learn more by asking powerful questions. So get in that habit of being more in curiosity, asking questions, diving deeper. You're gonna get more information when you begin to ask powerful questions. That's a good quote. Another one about failure. So there is no failure except in no longer trying. So it's the same thing, right? When you quit is when you failed. As long as you keep persevering, then you're not finished, you're not done. You're always in that constant pursuit of something greater, bigger, and better, and only truly fail if you give up entirely. So as long as you're making strides, as long as you're making minimal small improvements, then you're not losing, you're not failing. So I like that one because that's a good, failure, man, that's a really big topic of conversation, right? A lot of us have that fear of failure, or we're afraid to fail because we think we're gonna be ostracized by our peers and people and family and judged. And the reality is, when you hear from top successful people, it's the number of times they failed, like they can't count, because failure, we always fail our way to success. And it's in those moments when we can catalog the learning of those failures to set us up for success, to set us up for those experiences that we've learned from, the lessons that we've gained and cataloged along the way, help us be in a better position to avoid the next mistake or make a better decision. So in terms of that, there's no failure, and there's no loss of pride either. Failing is, embrace it, embrace failure. Don't go for perfection. That will be your Achilles heel in trying to achieve success. Living life like it's a marathon, not a sprint. Oh, okay, so grit is living a life like a marathon, not a sprint. So how many times in your life have you tried to tackle a project just to get it completed? Like, oh, let me just get this done and over with, versus treating it like a marathon, giving it time, attention, focus, for as much as it deserves to be given, right? So instead of just rushing to get it done, think about the energy and time and sweat and things that you're pouring into the things that you want to accomplish, because that's where your grit will, if you can keep showing up and keep showing up and keep showing up, man, is that grit at the highest level. So I encourage you guys to really embrace that as well, because that's where the magic happens. That's where time and time again, the majority, mediocre people, average people will bow out. They will take that exit ramp and be like, peace out, not for me. And the only one left still with grit and determination is you. And so now you have a high likelihood of actually achieving the thing you originally set out to do. So more on grit, you can see Angela's book on that. Discipline. There's that not fun word, discipline, is the bridge between goals and accomplishments. So simple, right? It's the bridge between goals and accomplishments. So how easy is goal setting? How easy is it to say, this is what I want to achieve, yet what's the likelihood you're actually going to achieve it without thinking about giving up, without saying, maybe I chose the wrong goal, or it's because it's the discipline to actually see it through. It's easier to say, let me start over. There's momentum at the beginning, right? We get excited, we get fired up with all these ideas we have and things you want to do. And yet, if you lack discipline, it's very easy to go back to the new exciting thing versus seeing what we originally wanted completed. So that's that's so simple and such a good visionary to say, yeah, it's the bridge between my goal and what I actually want to accomplish. That's a great quote. Rolling through. Inspiration. There is no heavier burden than an unfulfilled potential. So how many of you every day believe you're living up to your potential? You know, there's another really good quote that says it's a sin against nature to play it small, because we as humans, we were designed for greatness. We have greatness inside of us, and we were made in order to achieve greatness. So when we settle for small things, it's like a slap in the face. It's like, what are you doing? And I think it's just, man, at the end of your life, would you be okay with unfulfilled potential? When you know you've got so much more inside of you and so much more to give, are you okay with letting that all be bottled up without having other people experience it, without sharing it with other people in the world? I think that's a big one. That was Charles Schultz who said that. There's no heavier burden, it's a big burden, than an unfulfilled potential. I challenge you guys every day, are you exceeding your potential? That's a great question to ask yourself every day. Man, I'm getting all heated up. That one got me. This is about coaching. A coach is someone who tells you what you don't want to hear, who has you see what you don't want to see, so you can be who you've always known you could be. So man, how many of you from your childhood had a coach or teacher who you didn't like in the moment? You're like, oh God, they don't know what they're talking about, or you just thought that they like to be mean and make you run extra laps and do things like that. And then it was later on in your life or your career that you were like, oh man, that coach was really good, or they taught me some valuable things. And I think in the moment, we don't appreciate a coach. We don't appreciate someone who's pushing us. We don't appreciate someone who's challenging us and stretching us, because in the moment, it's extremely uncomfortable. But when we get to the other side of that uncomfortable place or those moments, man, do we appreciate it then? And so as a coach, you really don't, you don't do it so that they appreciate you. You do it so they can get the result. And it's going to be hard for them. And I think as a coach, we're okay with that. We can live with it, because we know that if we can get them through to the other side, that man, it was totally worth it. And we see that result in their success as players, as coaching clients. That's the rewarding part for sure as a coach. You had a purpose before anyone had an opinion. Oh, man, that's heavy. You had a purpose before anyone had an opinion. Screw other people. Go do what you're passionate about. Go do what makes your heart sing. Go do what you feel you're destined to do, and forget everybody else, because you had a purpose before they had an opinion of you. Here's just a question. It's not really a quote, it's a question for you. Where would you be next year if you started today? So if you started right now and you knew you had 12 months, 6 months, if today was day one, where would you be 3 months, 6 months, or a year from now? So don't wait for a Monday. Don't wait for January. Just start now. And you can be anywhere you want to be if you're willing to put in the time and effort. So that's just a good pondering question, is where would you be in the future if you started right now? You will only have the money, success, health, relationships, and prestige that matches your level of personal development. Gotta attract it. Gotta attract it. So there's some thoughts for you guys. I hope you got some really good quotes to live by, some good questions to ask yourself, some good things that challenge your thinking. So if you've got a good quote, I'd love to hear them, obviously. So share your favorite quote with me. I'd love to hear it. If it has to do with mindset or personal development, habits, anything like that, be sure to share your favorite quotes. I'd love to hear them.